Hello everybody, this is Mr. David with a kind of a combo lesson today. I'm going to do lesson 613 and lesson 614 because 614 is basically some extra math boxes. It's normally the review one you do with the test, but since we're not doing the test, you just have some math boxes to do with it. I mistakenly said in the last video that you would need your angle measurer for the math boxes, and I thought I had that wrong. I did. It's for the math boxes today. So you'll want to have this handy with the lesson. And of course, you're going to need a pencil and this page in the book, which we're going to work on together for parts of it. And I'm going to give you something to do. We're going to kind of put together everything we learned over the past 3 lessons into this one. It's going to have a little fractions, a little add subtracting, a little bit of pulling apart, and of course, explaining our thinking. And it's kind of all based around multiplication. So today's lesson is called Making Lip Balm. Kind of funny because you've all done this with the egg in the classroom ladies. You all made your own tube of lip balm earlier this year. It was last year. It was last year. But the fact that you already made it kind of makes it you have a little background connection to this because some of this stuff they're going to talk about, you'll probably remember, oh yeah, we had that in our lip balm too. So today we're going to talk about this making of the lip balm, but we're going to be breaking it up into pieces and talking about how it would work if I wanted to do it as addition or multiplication to solve a problem. So kind of a neat way to do this. And there will be some drawing going on with it. There is plenty of space today, so you shouldn't need any scrap paper. A pencil and this paper should be enough to do this. So let's take a look at the top and let's read through it and let's see what it says here. Lip balm protects your lips from chapping. Oh, we don't like that. That's when it gets cold and your lips get all cracked and dry and they hurt. This stuff kind of helps with that. It can be made at home with help from an adult. The ingredients below are for one batch. A batch fills 4 small tubes, kind of like we did here. With the egg in the classroom, ladies, we made a really big batch, didn't we? Because we had a lot of tubes to fill. Well, you need 4 teaspoons of beeswax. Well, we use that in ours. 2 teaspoons of, I'm sorry, I said tablespoons, didn't I? Teaspoons of shea butter, 3 teaspoons of almond oil, and 1/8 to 1 teaspoon of flavoring oil, depending, I suppose, how much flavor you want in your lip balm. So we have to solve these problems using drawings, words, and equations, not or, and. We have to do all of those to represent the problem. So number 1, this kid's name is Yasmin. He made 2 batches of lemon lip balm. How many teaspoons of almond oil did she use? So the question is not how much material did she use in all. We're only asking about almond oil. That's an important fact. So I'm going to underline that. You could circle it or whatever, just so I remember that's what I'm talking about. Otherwise, I have a lot of unnecessary information up here. I could go through this and I could make a big mess if I was trying to figure that out. I'm only concerned about almond oil for this problem. So the answer is going to go here because she made 2 batches. And you probably could figure this out in your head because it's 3 teaspoons. Well, to make 2, it would be 2 groups of that. So you might know that answer, and that's fine. But just putting the answer down, going on to the next one, the hat doesn't work. You've got to show what you know. I can't check it without knowing what you were thinking. So let's reason out our stuff and see if the answer that you're kind of thinking of, which is kind of like an estimate because you didn't do any of the work yet, if it's right. Okay, so words is blank groups of what? Well, we're making 2 batches and we want to know how much almond oil she used. So we know it's 2 groups, right? Because there's 2 batches. I got that 2 from right here. And I go up here and it takes 3 teaspoons of almond oil. So 3 teaspoons. 2 groups of 3. 2 groups of 3, if I was going to write that in adding, well, that would be a 3 here and a 3 here. 3 plus 3 is 6, right? Multiplication, 2 groups of 3. We learned way back. Gosh, I want to say this is almost 4 months ago at this point, so you might not even remember. It was before Christmas. It could have been a little before that. When we see the word groups of, that means multiply, which is represented by a star now, but we can use an X at one time too. And I taught you that in 3rd grade too, that when you hear groups of something, that's multiplying. So 2, and look, the star's right there, times 3 equals 6, right? Same answer. Two different ways to get it. One by adding, one by multiplying. Now let's show how we knew that. Well, almond oil, I don't know how I would exactly show that. I guess I'm going to put it in little cups or teaspoons. So, all right, I got a teaspoon here. It's from the side view. And I got a teaspoon here, and I got a teaspoon here. That's 3 of those teaspoons of almond oil. Plus, that only makes 1 batch. Draw some more of these things. Okay. That's 3 more teaspoons. Okay. Now 3 plus 3 equals 6. I could also say 3 and 3, 2 groups of 3 equals 6. This picture represents both of these equations. So I only need the picture for this one type of picture to explain both. So our answer is 6. Is that what you were thinking? I hope so, because we were only dealing with the almond oil in 2 batches. Makes that pretty easy. Okay? So when you solve this, you can think of your answer, but then you need to kind of go through and rationalize it out with equations. These are equations, or number sentences as we call them. And you need to have a picture to go with it. Number 2 says cinnamon flavoring oil is very strong, so only 1/8 teaspoon is used for each batch of lip balm. How many teaspoons of cinnamon flavoring are needed for 5 batches? Oh, 5 batches, but only 1/8. See, this is where that fraction knowledge comes in handy, because we're looking at fractions here and 5 groups of 1/8. Look at this. Equations again, but this time they didn't put in the symbols. You're going to have to do it all on your own. Well, let's figure this out. This time it might be easier to do a drawing, because it's 1/8 of a teaspoon. So I have 1/8 of a teaspoon here, 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 and 1/8 of a teaspoon here. I'm going to put little handles on my spoons. There we go. All right, so there's my 5 batches, because it's 1/8 teaspoon per batch. There's my eighths in the teaspoons. Okay, so this is, if I write this in words, that's 5 groups, because there's 5 groups there, of 1/8. Each one is 1/8. So if I was going to write this as adding, well, I would have to write down all these 1/8, and what would I have to put in between them? Plus signs, right? I'm adding. Is that 5? Yep. Okay. Remember, when we add, the denominator stays the same, but the numerator, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we do add up, and I get 5/8. Now, if I was going to multiply, this is a little different, but it would be 5, the whole number, times 1/8. Another way to think of that is 5 over 1 times 1 over 8. Now, we have not multiplied fractions yet, but here's a little preview for next year of what you do. Multiplication of fractions is a little different than adding. When we add them, we add the top, but we don't add the bottom. When we multiply, we do both. 5 times 1 is 5, and 1 times 8 is 8. Because I could hear a couple people already that are in one of my groups and be like, well, but how do you do that? How does this work out? Well, there's how it works out. This is not necessary for you to know, because as long as you can solve it one way or the other, it's going to work out. But that is how you would solve it, and you'll notice that the answers match. It would take 5/8 of a teaspoon for this 5 batch of the chapstick or lip balm for cinnamon. Wow, that's a big problem right there. But look at all that work we did and solve that, because we all kind of know what's going on. I didn't mention at the beginning, I probably should have. Please continue to put the date, and if you want to, the time of the lesson that you're working on, because it helps me to know what order you did them in, when you were doing them, to kind of understand if you're having issues that I can help. Okay, moving on to the rest of the lesson. Now, this is kind of tricky because the math boxes appear in the middle of the lesson. I'm going to come back to that. The end of the lesson is on page 225, which is here, and there are a few more problems that I'm just not going to do, but I'm just going to go over with you really quick. Okay, again, date and time. And again, if you have questions on any of this stuff, remember you can always text me, you can message me, you can now email me with your school email. You come onto office hours, we can set up a private video chat with your parents and whatever we need to do. I'm here to help you with this, just like I am at school. It's just we have this step of technology we have to figure out, or how we're going to communicate. Carter made 4 batches of marshmallow lip balm. Ugh. Anyway, he used 1/2 teaspoon of marshmallow flavoring in each batch. How many teaspoons did he use in all? Well, he used 4 batches, 1/2 in each. You know how to draw the 1/2s now and figure this out. This is like the problem we just did, just a different fraction. Try the multiplying. See if you can figure it out. If you don't remember how to do it, back up a little bit. Look at number 2. Check it out. Number 4. Julia made 24 tubes of cherry lip balm. That's better than marshmallow to Mr. David anyway. You might love marshmallows, but they're not that good. I want to smear them all over my lips. She used 3/4 teaspoons of cherry flavoring oil in each batch. You know how much did she use? Wow, she made 24 tubes. That's not batches. Oh, trick. Uh-oh. They're trying to confuse you here. They're saying 24 tubes thinking you're going to go, 24 batches. It's the same thing. No. If we back way up, whoops, wrong side of the paper. If we go to the right paper, we back way up to the beginning. Tells us up here, a batch fills 4 tubes. So this has a little hint in it that I want to help you with. She made 24 tubes. That's not 24 batches. That's 24 tubes. We'd have to take 24, divide it by 4 tubes in each batch, and we would get what? That's right, 6. She actually made 6 batches with 3/4 each. So you have to catch that little trick there. Otherwise, you're going to be using big numbers thinking, wow, this is ridiculous, and it won't even come out right. You got to turn the tubes in this one into batches to get this, so you have the right number to work with here to get that answer. Now you can draw your picture, put in your groups, and go ahead and figure it out. Now, this time there's a little different answer they want answered. It says, between which 2 whole numbers does your answer lie? Oh, so they want you to kind of estimate that. So if you have 3/4 in each one, because there's 6 of them, right? 3/4 plus, I shouldn't put the plus there yet, because we don't know if that's what we need to do. There we go. I think we will need to add, but let's get it drawn first. 3/4. I better help you a little more on this one, because I can see some questions coming up on this one. 3/4, 3/4, 3/4, 3/4. There, my 3/4. Those are my ones in each batch, because there were 6 batches. If I add that up, how many fourths would I get? Well, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 fourths. So you need to figure out 18 fourths is about how much in whole numbers. Is that between like 3 and 4? Is that between 5 and 6? And that's what you would write here. Okay, right here and right here. So the way I did that again is I added up the numerators and got 18 and then over 4. Okay, so this is the same thing as saying 18 fourths. Now I might need to do a little dividing to figure this out. Well, I know 4 times 4 is 16, and 4 times 5 is 20, so that goes over. But 4 times 3 is 12, 4 times 4 is 16, that's under. So it's somewhere between 16 and 20, so it's between 4 times 4 is 16, and 4 times 5 is 20. My answer is somewhere in between 4 and 5. See how I figured that out? I added across, got it figured out, and then I did some division. This is the same thing as saying 18 divided by 4. This is the same problem. I'm dividing how many 4/4 I can pull out of this 18 fourths. That's how I did that. And if I did that problem, I would see that it is 4 remainder 2. Okay, and that just helps me solve that problem. So this is just an aside, but this is another way to do it if you were thinking that. And that's how I figured that out. Okay, now the rest of it you've already done, so you'll be able to solve that. This is a hard one. I want you to try it, even if you were a little confused because number 4 was hard, but I want you to give this a try. Ezra wanted to try a new flavor combination for his lip balm. To make one batch, he combined 1/8 of a teaspoon peppermint oil, 3/8 of vanilla oil, and 1/8 of orange oil. How many teaspoons of flavoring oil would he need for 3 batches of this new flavor? The key here is to figure out how much is in one batch then go on to the 3. This is multi-step. Give that a try. All right. I want to go over the math boxes, and there's 2 pages this time, not because I'm being mean, because it's actually 2 lessons worth, because this is kind of finishing up Unit 6. So here first are the math boxes for today's lesson, okay? And here's what you do. You're going to estimate this problem. This is times, and then solve. Partial products, traditional method, whichever method we've learned this year you want to try to use. Number 2, 89 oranges are being packed into gift boxes of 6 oranges per box. How many gift boxes are needed? Which 2 of these could be the correct answer? So you have 2 choices here. You could solve it by drawing a picture or doing some math and then check the 2 that are closest, or you could estimate, okay, which would be 89 divided by 6. I'd have to estimate what I think that is, and then I could figure that out. Okay, if you know your multiplication facts, you know that this isn't going to come out evenly, so there might be a remainder. That might help with some of these choices. That's kind of my hint there for that one. Down here, you're going to be ordering decimals from largest to smallest. Please be careful with the place value. Remember, the ones that have the 0 in the tens place are smaller than the ones that have an 8 in the tens place. Okay, and this could have a 0 behind it if it wanted to. It could be 80, right? But it doesn't usually put there. So you're going to order these. Here's where you needed that long-awaited angle measure I've been talking about. Okay, this is the one where you're going to want to put that angle measurer on there. And maybe you want to turn the paper. Okay, you're going to want to line it up on the vertice and then kind of see what that is close to. And again, you are putting an approximate measure here, because if you have this, you can't get the exact measurement. If you have a protractor, you may be able to give me that exact number, and that's fine. If you forgot how to use a protractor and angle measure, I kind of showed you there, but you can refer back to 6.8 and 6.9 where I kind of use it and talk about it. And you do need to answer if it's acute or obtuse, which we already kind of talked about. Number 5, we're talking about somebody named Samantha, and she thinks the order for the problem 3D is, here's 3D right here, she thinks it is 44, 4, and 3, 5, and she's going from largest to smallest. That's what that was asking. I might have read that wrong the first time. Largest to smallest. Do you agree with her or do you disagree? So you would write either agree or disagree here, and then comma and why. Don't just write she's right or Samantha's cool, so I know she's right. No, you have to put why. Mathematically, that works out. Okay, and if she's wrong, prove why. If she's right, prove why. I think you'll figure it out. This one has a little bit of a trick in it, and it has to do with these numbers right here. Okay, and this problem does too, because you got to look, there's no decimal in that one. So what does that mean? We do know that, but just keep that in mind. A little bit of a hint. On the other pages of math boxes, you're going to notice that it says 614 on the top. That's because we're doing a 2 for today, 2 lessons from 1. And these lessons are previewing what you would have been doing in the next lesson, kind of give me an idea. And here you can see, name all the multiples from 7 to 7 from 1 to 70. So you start out and count. We did a box like that already. 6 friends are playing a game with 360 cards. Each kid gets the same number of cards. How many cards does each friend get? So 6 friends, 360 cards. And then it says, after you figure that out by doing some division, which is probably in your head as an extended fact, down here it says, a teacher, those darn teachers, add 120 cards to the game. Each friend gets 20 more cards. Is this fair? So is 120 divided by 620? If it is, then it's fair. If it isn't, it isn't. Down here, these are reasons someone gave. It's kind of like that problem you just did, except they gave you the answer. Now you have to see if you agree or not. You're going to fill in the bubble with the one that's the best answer. Down here, you're dividing the number line into fifths and writing them below it. So you need to make this by making lines in it. Make this into 5 equal pieces. We did one like this before. And then label the fractions. 0 fifth, 1 fifth, 2 fifth, 3 fifth, 4 fifth, 5 fifths. Here we're adding fractions. And please remember, when there's a whole number, like 9 plus 3 is 12, put that number down first. Then do the fraction. 9 and 10, because the denominator stays the same in adding, but we add the numerator, right? Down here's your final one, making another plot. And I have some lessons where I already showed this that you can go back and go to, but you need to Julie measuring her crayons to the nearest quarter inch. Here were the lengths, 3 3/4, 3, 4, 3. Okay, and you're going to figure that out. Now, if it appears twice, you're only writing it once and then putting X's on. So, for example, the shortest one I see here is 3. I notice 3 is mentioned 3 times. So I would put 3 here and put 3 X's there. And then I'd pick the next biggest measurement, and so on and so forth. That takes care of A. Now down here it says, if she could combine all the crayons that were less than 4 inches long, how long would the crayon be? Wow. So anything under 4, you're going to add all those together to figure out how long this crayon is going to be. It's going to be a decently long crayon, one longer than I'd want to color with. Give that a try and see how you do on it. This is one, of course, you can ask questions on if you need to. All right, so that takes care of Unit 6. The next time we meet up, we'll be in the next set of videos the next week, and we'll be starting Unit 7, some more brand new stuff. The change in that is that you may not have me as a teacher for all the videos. The 4th grade teachers are going to all take some lessons and kind of teach them, so you'll get to have Mrs. Builder back, and you'll get to have Mrs. Grooms and Mrs. Hagen, and you'll have Mr. David, and you'll have all of us in there kind of working on that. And we'll be kind of going ahead and doing different lessons. So you may not hear my voice and my explaining for every lesson in Unit 7, but I'll be on there for some of them. And you can always ask me questions if you need help, and I can always help you. All right, hope this was helpful. Have a great day. Hope this goes well for you. And remember, if you have any questions, I'm here to help. Take care.